We saw it as terrorism.
Right, because we were looking for terrorism. And when the Northeast power outage occurred, what's the first thing that went through everyone's mind?
Terrorism.
Oh my God, exactly.
All right. So did you find terrorism because that was a collective thought, or did you find it because that's what it was?
I've got to defer to programming on that one.
that I don't know, and if we did know that, we would be that much further along.
Yeah. Okay.
There's many unknowns in this, Art, as you must ponder yourself.
I do all the time. Believe me, I do all the time. And so I know, I understand you're not grasping that aspect yet. So that tells me where you are.
And see, we have to be intellectually honest about this. If we're going to make a prediction, we've got to lay out everything we can and say we can't go any further because we just don't have enough data.
You were pretty specific about this particular incident. And again, with regard to timetable, it's inside 60 days, you're suggesting?
No, within this one that we've been talking about today, I would say it was within a week.
Within a week?
It may come out that over the next week we find out that the reason that they withheld the British Airlines flights may have been because they were looking for a man and a woman, and what we're picking up now is stuff that's hidden.
Could be. Certainly could be. It's been a puzzle for me until now, and really it still is, what they're doing with these airliners. I mean, somehow, this is just basic thinking, but you would imagine that if they had enough specific information about a specific flight, they would have perhaps even names, and so the expectation would be there'd be some kind of arrest that would have potentially come out of all this. I don't know. It's interesting. Pondering their actions, you can imagine what kind of data they have they're working with.
Actually, I feel for them because it's the same kind of thing that we have, this rather muddy, murky stew that you sort of fish around with, and you look at haul something up and say, well, what does this mean?
You don't think, do you, that they're utilizing any technology like we've been discussing tonight as any part of their equation, do you?
Much more likelihood that it's occurring now than 2 years ago.
Huh.
Because they do seem to be getting better at it, don't they?
What we know...
Well, I don't know. I don't know yet. Are they? Are they getting better at it? No arrests yet. They've just held up flights. So are they getting...
Well, but at the same time, if you notice, there's a number of arrests that are occurring globally. See, one of the problems, or one of the opportunities I have, is that most of my formative years were spent outside the United States, so I have a much more global view of things, and I have a tendency to look at a lot of the various different non-United States news sources.
Right.
And we do see a different perspective. We see that there is some more focus, if you will. So they may indeed be deploying something along these lines.
Well,
we
certainly,
know for a fact that Raytheon, one of the subcontractors, is approaching something like it.
Okay, we know one thing for sure, and that is, knock on wood, nothing gigantic at all has happened since 9/11. So one possible reasonable conclusion would be that our intelligence services are somehow doing a really good job because nothing has happened.
Well, better, yes.
Better, well, right. No major incidents. So maybe they're doing okay. That's certainly one conclusion. Your prediction goes down the avenue of suggesting that these terrorists will be successful. In other words, your prediction encompasses the bombs going off.
That's inevitable, though. When one looks at things rationally, we're in a very unfortunate position as the receiving end of asymmetric warfare. We simply have to stand there and be ready 100% of the time, 24/7, 365. So it is inevitable that our readiness will be found, a hole will be found in it, and something will occur.
Hmm.
The interesting distinction part is how our technology works versus some of the technology that's being pursued publicly by the government. I think everyone's probably heard about Poindexter's great marrying of all databases into a single massive lookup, and that's worthwhile technology, but it's very focused drill down technology. In other words, Art Bell goes out to the airport and people can see that Art Bell had a speeding ticket in 1903 or, whatever. This technology doesn't give you that kind of drill down. Rather, it says, surveying all the people going to McCarran Airport, look for somebody who smokes cigarettes once in a while and has a good voice and is about this tall. There are several ways to approach the problem of intelligence, and Clif characterizes this as really a fourth-order thinking approach versus a third-order thinking approach, which marrying of databases is.
Fascinating. You can't smoke in McCarran, save these stupid little rooms where you all choke to death. But aside from that, no, I understand. They do seem to be operating, with that kind of level of data based on their actions. I mean, that's pretty loose, I admit, but after all, we're stopping airliners. We don't know why. We don't know what they're doing.
But it could be something that was picked up by Carnivore or any of the other email surveillance kinds of things.
Yeah, could have been.
So we don't know, and they could just talk about going from England to America in an email, and that would be very specific, and I'd not want to be on that airplane myself.
On the other hand, if we look at things from our bot perspective, if we had the ability to do them in a native Arabic fashion, even if, in this case, the ones who have declared themselves to be the enemies of the Western world, the Al-Qaeda, were using a cell structure, they still rely on familial relationships. So some Al-Qaeda member's grandmother knows something and might make some slip in her language on the internet that the bot kind of stuff could pick up. Even though she doesn't actually reference what her grandson is doing, we know something is up just because of the nature of the emotional values of her language has changed.
Incredible. All right, hold on, you two. Headed toward the bottom of the hour. George, Ure, and Clif are here. And for those who understand kind of where we're centered in all of this, you understand the magnitude of what these gentlemen are doing. And perhaps what the intelligence communities are doing. Certainly the Chinese, they seem to be giving it the good old college try, as it were. And one might imagine even our own government's giving it a shot. Maybe that's why we're getting these reactions.
With Art Bell, call the wildcard line at area code 775-727-1295. The first-time caller line is area code 775-727-1222. To talk with Art Bell from east of the Rockies, call toll-free at 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, call Art at 800-618-8255. International callers may reach Art Bell by calling your in-country Sprint access number, pressing option 5, and dialing toll-free 800-893-0903. From coast to coast and worldwide on the Internet, this is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
You see, this is kind of like Journey to the Center of the Mind. That really is what it's like, except it's the collective mind. What a trip to take. Really fascinating stuff. Once again, George Ewer and Clif. Gentlemen, welcome back. There's a question up here from Charles in Flagstaff, Arizona, and then I want to follow it up with my own. Here it is. Have you ever done a bot search on the Mayan calendar 2012 scenario? Over the next 20 years, he says, broadband's going to go up, up, up. Do you ever see a time when the software will be available to the general public? So let's handle the first one first, about 2012. It would seem a remarkable thing to go and look at the end of the Mayan calendar. Have you ever sent a bot onto the web after that?
Not specifically. It's odd that they bring that up because a lot of the archetypical timing clues that I use within the lexicon are based on what I discovered within the Mesoamerican calendar, and I prefer to call it that rather than Mayan, but we're speaking of the same thing.
Yes, indeed.
And within that calendar, we find that they have 20 named days arranged in groups of 13. And this comes to 260, which is the orbital period of Venus, which coincides with the orbital period of the Earth every so many years, which coincides with the orbital period of Saturn, et cetera, et cetera. And we get to this other area of interest of mine, which has been hyperdimensional or hyperspatial math.
Mm-hmm.
And it's rather odd, as I say, that was brought up, but the 2012 transition, if you will, from the Mayan long count probably is making its, or definitively is making itself felt on the Internet now, because I do pick up an emotional worry quotient, if you will, around that date.
Sure. Sure you do.
But I don't have anything in the way of a predictor as to what might be causing that worry.
All right. Well, right now, you guys are like the striving artists of the cyber world, right? So there's got to be a way you can make some money on this, and I can think of one way, but you might not like it. But nevertheless, I'd like to suggest it. Why not package and sell your code, your program? Sell your program at some point, at least in beta, as a scenario predicting software program for predicting the future.
Problem is, we would have to send a human along with it. Bear in mind that really what we end up with at the end of the software...
Well, I know, but all you need to send is a lesson in evaluating the results. You send a little videotape with that for $29.95. See, I'm trying to help you guys here.
Sure. I understand, Art. I'm not really throwing up an objection so much as countering with some of the complexities involved, in the sense that I've often questioned whether any of the emotive values that I've assigned, while showing some level of meaningfulness, are really meaningful in the broad scheme of things. So just because I've signed